Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're just waiting a couple of more minutes, letting some individuals join. We see they're coming in right now. So appreciate your patience. We'll start here shortly. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone again for joining. My name is Carlos Morera. We're gonna just give one more minute or so. We have a few individuals still logging in and joining. Just wanna give them a couple of more seconds here for them to join and then we could start. So thank you so much for your patience. Appreciate that. Well, thank you again for joining us this morning or afternoon, depending on where you're located. We're very excited to have you here. Without further delay, we want to go ahead and continue or give way with our webinar today or this morning. We're going to be going over R81 security management features. We have Shafi Ahmed, who's one of our advanced TEM engineers based out of our Dallas facility. He's going to be going over and highlighting some of these components and just going over some of the features and how they can benefit you, some of the value add you can implement into your environment. My name is Carlos Morera. I'm the head of professional services here at Checkpoint, focusing on service delivery, Latin America, and the advanced TAM organization. We definitely appreciate the time that you invested to spend with us right now. We want to make sure we make good use of your time. Like always, and in past events, what we've asked is for your feedback. We want to make sure that we're covering topics that you find value in and that make good use of the time that you're investing with us. So at the end, you'll have an email address as a reminder. You see it here on the landing page, atem@checkpoint.com. If you have any comments, any questions, anything that you felt we could have covered that wasn't covered, please let us know. We want to make sure that we're providing you some substantial information here that, again, that you can find value in. During this session, we're going to have a group of panelists with us. In that group of panel, we have lead consultants. We had lead ATEM engineers. We also have our security architects within the professional services umbrella that are part of the actual panel. We encourage you to post your questions to them in the Q&A section. They'll answer those questions for you. If for some reason your question is not answered, feel free to email us at atem@checkpoint.com or email your advanced TAM engineer. He or she will be able to answer those questions for you as well. And then in the panel, we also have individuals based out of our Latin America organization as well, both from the Advanced TAM organization and also professional services. Definitely pose your questions in Spanish as well, or even in Portuguese if needed, and we'll get those questions answered for you in your native tongue. So again for your time. Without further delay, we're going to hand it over to Shafi, and he'll give us the presentation today regarding R81 security management. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Shafi. I'm part of ATEM, our technical account management team of Checkpoint Professional Services. Glad you guys joined. We really appreciate it. Today, we'll talk about feature-rich R81 management. There are a lot of really cool features that we added to our R81 management. There are a lot of the features that people have requested. And there are some features that people used to love in pre-RAJ, so we slowly bring them back. So let's start. So today's agenda, we'll talk about these topics. First will be the policy installations. We have made some improvements. Policy installation is currently accelerated, and we can install multiple policies at the same time. New NAT policies, we need some improvements or new features added in our NAT policies. There are some features added to multi-domain servers. Some features that used to exist in pre-RAD days, and now we can do this in R81. And session view, which is like what changes we are making. So there's a detailed view now we have in R81. We will talk about those. And configuring log exporter. This used to be a command line configuration. Now we can actually do this in the Smart Console, which is pretty nice. Then we're going to talk about central deployment agent. Again, this used to be, you have to install a tool and upload those packages, configure some files, but now it can all be done in the Smart Console. And then the new Infinity threat prevention, and there are some other features then we also talk. So first one, concurrent policy installations and the accelerated policy installation. Concurrent policy installation, meaning now we can actually install multiple policies to multiple gateway at the same time. And the limit is currently 5. So if you're installing more than 5 policies to more than 5 gateways, those 6th or 7th or 8th, they will be put into queue. But at the same time, we can install 5 separate policies to 5 different gateways. Again, the limitation is per CMA. So if you're in a provider one, you can log into a separate CMA. You can install another 5 policies there. And the accelerated policy installation now is, I mentioned the SK. There are if some condition met, so policy installation is accelerated. So the detailed informations are in this SK. I'm going to show you some demo and give you some examples to show you exactly how fast policy installation is on R81 gateways. So here, when you do a policy installation, we'll see this under install policy acceleration. This icon will show up. The first one, it says policy install policy acceleration is enabled. And the other one in this example is a RAD40 gateway. And this policy doesn't have, this gateway version doesn't have that feature. So it will not be accelerated for this gateway. So these are the different error messages, 3 different error messages we can get. First one, it will show up if the policy is accelerated, that icon will show up. It will say install policy acceleration is enabled. And second one, even if you make some changes, but if the condition did not met, again, I'll talk about those while I do the demo, I'll show you. Then acceleration cannot be done, so it will do a full policy installation. And the third one is non-R81 gateways, because they're going to have this feature, so it will not be accelerated. So just to show you some demo here, here, let's say I'm not making any changes. I have a 3 gateways here. So I'm going to do 2 R81 and 1 R8040 gateways. I'm going to attempt to install a policy, and you'll see the difference. Okay. There you go. So again, I'll talk about these under session changes. Any changes you make, there are a few, 2-3 different places you can see the changes you made before you do a policy installation. So right now, I'm going to talk about this in detail on the next section. So I have a topic that I'll cover regarding this. So I'm going to do a policy installation here. Again, I did not make any changes. So I'll just do a straight policy installation, and here you go. Now we see, look at this. This R81 gateways, because I'm not making any changes, so it's been accelerated. But the R84D, because it doesn't have support this feature, it doesn't is not going to be accelerated. It's going to do a full policy installation, and you will see that R81 gateways policy installation will be done a lot faster. So see, this is already done. R81 is already done. So this is already done, but R84D is still installing. So I'll show you some example in which scenario policy installation will be accelerated. So here you go. Let's wait for it to be done. This is done. So see, R8040 took longer than R81 gateway. So for example, if I change any action column, again, I'll refer you go review the SK that I mentioned. If I change the action column, except I change the track column, let's say accounting, I change this. And so this scenario, if I change this, policy installation will still be accelerated. Okay, here you go. Let's show you an example. Or I can add a network object. Policy installation will be accelerated. I'm making some changes to my rule. So let's say I am adding this. Now I'm publishing. No, okay, this is gonna fail because I cannot have accounting on a drop log. So let me modify this. Publish. Now I'll attempt another policy installation. There you go. So let's go see a detail. See, even though I make some changes because I changed the action column, track column, added a network object. So policy installation is still accelerated. So these are some examples I showed you where policy installation, even though you're making changes to your policy, it will be accelerated. But there are some conditions. Let's say if I add a group object, it will not be accelerated. If I add a group with exclusion, then it will be acceleration. Again, I refer, see, this is R81, these are already done. So R8040 is still doing it. So again, so again, I refer you back to this SK. If you wanna go review this SK, it has more detailed information in which condition the policy installation will be accelerated. The benefit is the policy installation time is reduced by like 80 to 90% if some condition match, and if it's a R81 gateway. So this is like a really nice feature if you have a really large rule base and you're making some minor changes, adding something to your rule base or changing the action column or the track column, and those condition match, your policy installation will be really fast. Again, if you have any question, we have panelists to answer your question. Please go ahead and ask your question. So next one is we'll talk about is the NAT. So again, the right now we can add. I mean, we can add a lot more objects in our NAT rule. Previously, it was very limited, and now we can actually, if you look at this example, we can actually add updatable object. We can use access role in our NAT rule, and we can use look at this Skype, an application we can on NAT rule. We can use a country. So let's say you go to a different country, you can use this in a NAT rule. You know, we can use a zone before you used to, so you don't have to add multiple networks to NAT or put them in a group or you know, do a NAT. We can actually use a zone. Another benefit is it's not showing up in my screenshot, but I'll show you is this feature. If you go into NAT, we can also have hit counts. See that hit count. So if you have to enable it, right mouse click and use this checkbox. And we can actually use hit count, so to see how many, which NAT rule is implemented how many times. So it's really nice. So again, it's been it's only for gateway has to be R81. Plus, this new feature also has full API support, meaning we can use API commands to configure our NAT policy using all these new features as well. Next topic is the multi-domain server. Again, as I mentioned, there are a lot of the feature people used to love back in the pre-R80 days. And when the R80 came up and say, hey, where is this feature? Where is this feature? So we slowly, again, bringing all those features back. Like when R80 came up, there are a lot of the features were missing. R80 10, R80 20, we're slowly bringing all these features back. So now one of them is, if you have a provider one MDS deployment and you want a log server, I mean, pre-R81, if you want a dedicated log server, you have to use a multi-domain log server and have a CLM there. But now you don't have to have a another multi-domain log server deployed. You can have a dedicated log server, install a dedicated log server and make it act as a secondary log server for your CMA. So we have that feature now. Again, it existed pre-R80 days. Also, we can now have a dedicated security management server act as a secondary management server for a CMA, or it can be an active management station and the CMA could be secondary management server. And but only thing is that if you want to use the, if you want to assign global policies, make sure the CMA on the MDS environment is the active one. So we can now use a dedicated log server as a CLM or as a log server, work with a CMA, which is existing in MDS container, or we can have a dedicated security management server, install it on a VMware or anywhere, and act as a secondary management server for its active CMA. Another really nice feature, again, it existed in pre-R81 days, called cross-domain search. It is a very powerful tool. What it is, right now we can we can actually search for an object. Let's say if you have a very large deployment. I mean, I've seen customer has like 300-400 CMA in one MDS. So if you want to search and find out a particular object, where does it exist, which CMA, which rule base. So now we can do this. So just to show you a demo, in pre-R80 days, it used to be like this. You go in these two views, domain view and the network view, you go in there and manage and do a cross-domain search. So people used to love this. And when R80 came out, this feature was missing and people used to ask a lot, like, how do I do this? How do I do this? So now we brought it back. See this cross-domain search. We can do this different search method we can use. Now the search is done here. You go into your MDS view. Here in my lab, you go click on the top left corner, the menu icon, and there's an option called, we have an Open Global Explorer. So here you can see I have this object, it's on CMA one. There are some objects on CMA. I have only 2 CMAs. So let's say I search for some object. Here, see this, I have this object I created there in a global domain, also used in a CMA one in a group. So let's say I search for where used. and I see this is part of a group object called global net, and it's in CMA1, meaning in CMA1, I created a group object called global net and added those global objects in there. Also, I am using this in this access policy number 1. It is here. So I'm using it here. So you can pretty much search if you have again, this is just my lab. So if you have a very large deployment, you have lots of objects. I mean, I've seen people have 60, 70,000 objects in 1.7 CMA. So you have one place you can actually search and see, okay, oh, I want to find this object. Where do I have it? Which CMA is using it? Which rule base is using it? Which group is using it? So you have one place you can do the search. Now the next things come up is, can I do it in CLI? Because if it's available in CLI, we could script it out, right? But currently we don't have the CLI command. That's why I mentioned it here, because I know people is gonna ask, is there a way we can do it? This is the MDA-CMD run cross-domain query was the old command you used to do on the pre-RAB days. But that MDA-CMD really slowly, it's obsolete. So we are slowly making all the available commands to MGMT, the API tool that we have, MGMT_CLI. So, but currently we don't have any relevant one. This is where I mentioned all the MGMT CLI and the relevant the MGS-CMD command and the relevant MGMT CLI command. And if you look at the bottom, the run cross domain, actually we don't have it. And even though if you on R81 and you go to the CLI and go to the bin directory or the script directory, this command is still there. But if you run it, you will say it's not supported. You will get a message like this is not supported. So again, hopefully R81 or maybe, again, these are API commands. So every new version, every new, let's RAD10 API, a new API version is released. So again, I'm going to talk about towards the end that there are some API improvements made. So you'll see every new version that we come up with, we make improvements. We add more new features. So hopefully in RAD1.10 or RAD1.20, this MGMT CLI command will be available, so we can do the CLI search. Again, any question, please do not hesitate to ask. We have panelists there to answer your questions. So this is about the, again, multi-domain servers. To recap, we can have a dedicated log server. And you don't have to have, let's say you're on a separate log server, you're sending too much logs. Okay, I don't want to send all these logs to my CMA. Everything is too busy. Now on a dedicated log server, pre-R81 days, how do you do it? You have to have another multi-domain log server. Now you don't have to. You can have just a separate dedicated log server work as a CLM. Same goes for CMAs. You can have a dedicated security management server installation. You don't need to have another secondary management server, and you don't have to buy another container license. You can just a security management server. And cross-domain search is a very powerful tool. We can search a individual object to see where it is used in the which CMA is global and so on. Next topic we have is session view. Again, I'm going to show you some slide here now. Now we can, it's pretty detailed. I remember when RAD came up, when let's say you make some changes and somebody, you let do something, somebody comes and see your smart console may have crashed, or somebody logs in and you see there are some draft changes. So there is no way to tell exactly what changes you made. What did you do? Then I think RAD 10 or maybe 20, we come up with checkpoint labs. So actually where it is to show, okay, these are the object was touched, but you can see, okay, Shafi logged in, he made these changes, but it shows you all the objects, but it actually didn't tell you what changes I made, what the previous admin made. Now actually we can see. So here I'll show you one example. So let's say I log in an admin on February 28. There are 6 changes there. What did we do? So I go right click on this, I go action, changes, I compare selected with the current sessions, and it tells me that access control rule, there are 1 edit, and there are objects, there's a new object created, and you can see over here it says the standard rule was changed, and one of the group object was changed. So it's pretty detailed. So here it tells you rule number 1, I added a group called group 1. And the first one, the cleanup rule, I changed accept, I make it to drop. And another rule I added, and where I added group 1. And then at the bottom, you'll see I create a global NAT group. Remember on the previous example I showed, I created a global NAT object. I added all those these 4 objects there. So it's pretty nice. So just to show you some example here, if I go to my CMA, let's say I make some changes here. For example, let's say I want to add something to this rule. For example, let's say group. Let's say I add group 6. I haven't published it. So if you see it, this is the place you can see any unpublished session. Let's say, for example, I added this group, and for whatever the reason I left, or let's say admin 2 logs in, and he will see there is a 1 draft changes. How does he know what changes was made? Let's say because it's a Shafi logged in. Now let's say admin 2 logged in. So this is the place you can actually click on this, and it will show you the unpublished changes, that what was made before. I mean, he didn't publish it. If it's published, we could go to our session view on the manage and setting sections. So here it will actually tell me what was done. So you see that it was telling me rule 1 is edited, and this admin added group 6 to this rule. So I exactly know to decide, should I publish it or should I discard it? Make sense? So this is a really nice feature. So before publishing, so now I publish it. Now another thing I'll show you. Now I publish it. Now let's say even after publish, how do I know what changes are made? One place is, see, if you do install policy, there is a section I showed you, or you can go here, manage and settings, and you go to view sessions. And under revisions, see there are 1 changes. You go right click on it. Again, here is another call. I added details. If you want to make, I just want to show you, if you want to make some let's say I forgot to add notes there. So let's say you are reviewing it. So you can actually, now we can add some notes there. So you go action, then changes, and you see what changes I made. You click on it, and it should open up and tell you exactly what was done on that session. Again, there's a mention they can give you the ASCII, so you can review. Go ahead and so it tells you. I look at this. See that this revisions group 6 was added to the rule. So even though, let's say, even if it's published and you're doing some kind of auditing, I want to see who done what. Again, in a real life scenario, you will not see that everybody logging in as an admin. So everybody, whoever done, they will have their own login ID. So you'll know, okay, let's say Shafi logged in, did something. What did he do? So I right click and change, and I'll see, okay, he added group number 1 in this rule. So you know exactly what he has done. So again, you have the option as well. If you wanna, revert this, I don't want to revert this change. So if you undo it, you can do it, or you can manually do it, depending on how many changes he did. Another place is if you go back to the security policies, click on install policy. This is an example I'll show you also about, if you go back to the acceleration, remember I added a new group there. So you'll see adding a group, I don't think it's gonna accelerate the policy. If it's just like a host object, a network object, those are, again, I refer you back to the ASCII. The ASCII is very detailed. It will tell you exactly in which scenarios policy will be accelerated. Here, this is that view changes. I can also view here what changes was made before installing the policy. See that audit logs. So it will show you, see this source add. See that source added group 6. So even before you put policy, there are a few places you can go. One I showed you. I mean, again, let's do the policy and stuff here. You'll see. Let's go detail. Yeah, you see this time policy installation is not accelerated because the condition did not met, because I added a group. If it was remember in previous example I showed you, I added a network. So adding a network is one of the conditions that policy will be accelerated. Adding a host object will be accelerated. Adding a group will not. But if I recall, if it's a group with exclusion, then it will be accelerated. But now it's not, so it's a full policy installation. See that policy installation cannot be accelerated. This is R8040 for this target, means they don't have this feature. But here it says is not compatible with the changes that were made. So the changes I made, it doesn't qualify for the policy to be accelerated. Okay, so so here, so it's done. See, all of them done at the same time. So again, as I mentioned, see right now I did not make any changes. So the changes is actually grayed out. So this is to see unpublished changes. If you want to, let's say I go in here, I edit the group. I change the color, for example. Now I'll have to publish it. But so this is meaning if I don't publish it, nobody will know what changes I did, because in the way R80 work, R80 database is in a Postgres. Any changes I made before publishing are actually in a private session. Only I can see. The admin who is doing it, only he can see the changes that he or she is making. But let's say somebody else log in, let's say admin 2 logs in. Now he sees there are some changes made by Shafi. What changes he made? So before, because he didn't publish it, so he can actually view it here before if you don't publish. Or let's say you made a lot of changes. You did not publish. You want to change publish after doing all these changes. I want to make 10, 15 changes. I don't do every change I made. I don't publish. Let's say you're done. You start go for a coffee break. You come back. Okay, what did I change? If you want to see. So you can actually go and change before publish and see what changes I made. So you see that I changed the color to violet red from black to this. See this? So you can actually go back and see what changes you made before publish. Now, once I publish it, again, once I publish it, this is gonna be grayed out again because it's published now. Publishing means now everybody can see it. Now to see it, what changes I made or that admin made, you have to go in the manage and settings. You go into the revisions and you right click on it and you just click on it and see it here. And you have the option to revert, or you can see what changes. If you're doing auditing, okay, hey, what change Shafi did? Now I want to see what changes he made. He's making too many changes. Let's go check on him. So it will tell you exactly what changes that specific admin did. There you go. See that? I changed the color to violet red. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. Again, if you have any question, please do not hesitate to ask. And another one, log exporter. It's a really nice feature we have now. We can actually send our logs to same applications like Splunk, AlgoSac, and they have, I mean, we do have a smart event. So in that scenario, you don't need to do anything. It's a smart event or reads or log. You can generate really nice report. But again, if you use third-party apps like Splunk, we have the option to send our logs to them and they can generate reports. And pre-R81, this used to be a command line utility that you have to create, you have to run a command to configure log exporter. Now we can do it in Smart Console. It's pretty easy. Excuse me. And this is the basic steps. All you do is create the log exporter object, again, within the GUI. Configure the, again, who sends the, what do you send the log? It's either be management. Management is by default is a log server, or if you have a multi-domain environment, you can have a multi-domain log server where you have all the CLMs, mean the logs are sent to log server. So you configure the logs, where the logs are. So you configure that object where the logs are, that gateway sending logs to send the logs to my log exporter, the same application. And again, this is a required step. You have to install database, and then you can validate how. Okay, let's give you the steps. So here you go, new, more servers. You see that we have a log exporter scene. This is option there. So you choose this option, create one. Only thing you have to supply is the name, IP address, and the port, which is the syslog port. And there are some options, but basically you only need to supply these three, nothing else. Then you edit the CMA here. Here I don't have a CLM. So in this case, if you have a CLM or you have a dedicated log server, you edit the log server where the logs are. So you go edit that object, you go to the export, and you click on the plus sign and choose the log exporter object there, which is meaning this has the IP address and everything. So configure the CMA with that log exporter object. Again, you have to install the database. This is a must step. If you forget to do it, then you will see, oh, I've done everything, it doesn't work. Maybe you forgot one step. So this is the required step. And how do I validate? You go into the that customer context, go to the RT-dar CPR directory and log exporter. If you install database, if you don't install database, you will see the targets folder is not created. So if you install database, you see a target folder is created, and within the target folder, I have the log exporter object there. This is how validate. So it's fairly simple configuration. You don't need to remember or work out how do I run this command, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you just and it works. Okay, next one is a really nice central deployment tool. It's really, really nice, and it actually works. And you know, we don't have to install any separate tool. We don't need to you know, do anything. Everything is done in Smart Console. Again, the management needs to be R81. It's not available in a pre-R81 management station. Maybe they, I mean, again, hotfixes, they may supply this on the R80, but for right now, it's only available in R81. What we can do, we can install any jumbo hotfixes, recommended hotfixes. We can also do major version upgrade. In R8040, we did actually added the feature that you can install hotfixes, but in R81, we can do major version upgrade, and we added the package repository feature in R81. And let's say if you have a non-R81 gateway, you upgrade the management, but gateways, you have an upgrade because gateway upgrade requires time planning, you know, how to change windows. So those gateways have to be those specific jumbo take to be eligible to be, you know, so that we can use it with our Smart Console CDT to upgrade or do, you know, hotfix installation. R8040, any take will work. R8030 takes 76 or higher. If you have if you still have R8020, take a 181. R8010, I think in R8020 is the end of life. So if you have take 245 or above, we can use those gateway with the CDT Smart Console tool to do the upgrade. And these are the prerequisites. Again, whoever is admin, again, R81 is very granular in terms of who can do what. So whoever is doing it, make sure he have a permission in manage license and packages. And the CPU's build has to be latest. It detects, I'll show you on my screen capture, it has to be the latest build or else it will fail. And gateway already has to be SIG already established, and you have a policy already installed. And in terms of cluster, you have to choose the cluster object. We cannot choose a member one at a time. Again, I'll show you it works really nice way. You have zero downtime upgrade. And the other one, if you're doing cloud, must be able to connect if you're doing it from the cloud. But if your package, you actually import the package repository directly on your Smart Console, so you don't need to have cloud connectivity. Here, see that if you go log in, managing setting at the bottom, you have a package repository. Again, I'll need to point one thing. If you're in a multi-domain environment, make sure you use the package repository in your global dashboard, not on the CMA. Because again, remember, we have only one database. It doesn't matter if you're in a single management or a provider one or multi-domain, we have a one database. So if you're in a multi-domain, you go into the global dashboard, log into the global dashboard, go to the package repository, and you import it here. Here I imported Jumbo Text 13 and the major version R81 and the Jumbo 189 for R8040. Now let's say in this example, I have now logged into my CMA. I have R81 gateway and R8040 gateways. So I do major hotfix installation. So I go highlight the object. You highlight the object. Let's say here I highlighted R8040 and click on the action, or you can do right click, either or, and you can install hotfix installation. And from the install, from the drop down menu, it will it's reading it from the package repository. It sees, okay, I have 2 hotfixes. So you pick the R8041 and you just click install. And here you see that initially I forgot to update the CPU's agent, so it failed. So you must, so you will get this error if the CPU's agent is not up to date. You will get this error message. Must be. So I went ahead and updated it to 2019. Then try it again, and it is installed. And you see the package is actually gets transferred. You can run log into the gateway and run show installer packages command from Clish, and you'll see that package get transferred to the gateway. Then it's showing installing, and the web GUI it is showing 64%. Then it is done. So here I added some information about, you may ask, what are the scenario if you have a cluster, because majority of us will have, redundant scenario, like we have a gateway cluster. For Jumbo hotfix, what it does, again, it detects whenever you initiate the installation, it detects, it knows which one is standby, which one is active. So it will install the hotfix only on the standby member first. Okay. Once the standby member is installed, what it does, it initiates a standby member gets installed, it gets rebooted, it comes back online, it joins the cluster, and it stays as a standby, meaning its connection table gets synced. Then it initiates a cluster XL admin down. It's administrative bring down the active node. So the standby member, which a Jumbo is already installed, becomes active. Now we install the Jumbo on the previous active node. How does it work on a major version upgrade? Because we want to have zero downtime upgrade. The way it does, again, it detects, it knows which one is standby, which one is active, right? So what it does, again, we have to, major version, you have to run the verifier first. It will give you, if you select, you'll see at one of the options will be verify. So you make sure you run the verifier part. We want to make sure you get the error like upgrade is allowed. So then we install it. It will transfer the package. You will see. I'll see a video demo. I keep monitoring, like show packages, installer packages is available to download. Then it suddenly shows available to install. Means package got transferred. Then it starts installing the package on the standby member. Once the installation is done, it does a reboot. It comes back up. Standby member, because now the version doesn't match. Standby member is R81. R84D is active member R80. So by default, they're not going to talk to each other. So when the upgraded member, the standby member comes back online, it stays at a ready state. Then you'll see slowly in a few 1 minute or 30 seconds, the standby from ready, it goes into standby member. Again, we all know in R8040, we introduce a feature called a multi-version cluster object, where we allow 2 clusters running 2 different versions to work as a cluster. So that's what's happening here. So R81 is ready, then it goes into standby mode, meaning it's part of the cluster now. So the connection table gets synced. Then start installing the major version upgrade on the previous active member. And one of the steps, whenever it runs CP stop or something, the R81 member takes over. He becomes the active member, and so nobody will notice anything, and it gets installed. So here is the screen capture that I have for you. Here I have a gateway cluster. This R8040. I'm doing. This is the Jumbo hotfix installation. Okay. So you see it's doing gateway 3. In this example, gateway 3 was the standby member. So it's installing on the gateway 3. And here I do on the CLI, I run show installer packages, and it's showing installing on one member. The other one is available to install, means this is my active member, is passing the traffic. So no, my production traffic not affected. Then after installation done, it reboots the gateway 3. Then it comes back online, and we see the member is standby. Then if you look at the bottom, you see that it was active. The active member is active. At the bottom, it goes into down. Why? Active down P node, meaning it initiated a cluster XL admin down. Bring it down, and the member that has the Jumbo install will become the active member now. Now it install the hotfix on the previous active node. Now you see it's installed the hotfix on the other member. It's rebooting, and it's done. So how does screen capture for major version upgrade? Again, I select my cluster object, I go action, I do version upgrade. Then see that it's doing verifying packages. You will have an option called verify. So this is the must. Once the verify is done, it says see the upgrade is allowed for both members, so we can upgrade. Then we next window we select install. And then in the previous example, gateway 3 with the standby node, I installed the jumbo and reboot it. Then gateway 2, we brought it down, installed jumbo. So in this example, gateway 3 is the active node, gateway 2 is the standby. So installing the gateway 2 now in this example. So here you'll see available to install, package get transferred to both node. Now it's installing the product on the gateway 2. And if you look on the top, you see that it also updated the object to R8040 to R81. So it did it by automatically. We didn't have to do anything. The object is also upgraded to R81. Then it's rebooting this gateway 2. Installation is done. And here is this example. See, the gateway 2 came back online. It's on a ready state. And now down below, see that? Now is standby. Even though it's running R81 and gateway 3 is running R8040, meaning active standby, the connection table will be synced. Then it starts installing on the gateway 3, but by this time gateway 3 is upgraded and he's passing all the traffic, because it failed over to the other node, is upgraded member, and it's done. So if I want to show you some demo video here, you'll see I'm doing a major version upgrade for this same screen capture that I showed you. See that? Let's run the verifier first. When the verifier is done, I do it again. I go and this time I select install, version upgrade. This time instead of verifier, I'll select install. See that I have this option. First I run verify, now I say install. This is using that R81 package, and it's telling you that you need to, after the installation is done, we need to install the hotfix. Sorry, we need to install the policy. So here I'm monitoring both members. See that is available to download, not yet. It's transferring the package. So not yet done. Here, see this. I'm keep running this command on this member on the, again here, gateway 2 was the standby member and gateway 3 was the active member. So now it's delivering the package. See that I'm keep running. It says available to download. You'll see it will soon show available to install. There you go, download. Here you go, see on the right side, it's now the package. See that package got transferred from the CDT to the management, from management to the gateway. Also, it's being available to install. Now I see it's preparing the package to the target. Now I see, remember gateway 2 is the standby mode, installing it on the gateway 2, but the other member is not. Okay. Waiting for the other, it's rebooting now or installing the product, and the gateway 3 is active. See over here, gateway 3 on the left hand side is active and installing on the gateway 2. So our traffic is not interrupted, it's still handling the traffic. So we're installing on the standby node. So it's done, it's going to reboot. See the standby member is done, it's rebooting. See that, going to reboot the member. Now see, it came back on a ready state. And it's showing the other member is lost because it's coming, came back up, it's slowly starting. So you need to ready state because the member the version is different. By default, two different version doesn't work together. You have to enable the feature to do that. So from ready, you'll see it goes into active lost. Here you go, see that? Now it's become a standby. On the top, you see it was ready. Now standby, meaning now it joined the cluster, connection table will be synced. Then it started installing on the previous active node on the gateway 3 because gateway 3 is already upgraded. See, okay. Creating the file, installing the product. Now it's rebooting the member. See that it's rebooting. See that it's R81. It rebooted. It already joined the cluster member. See this? Only thing I'll mention here. One thing I'll mention here. If you are moving to gateways from any version 3, RAD 30, what happened is the core XL and multi-queue, they are automated now. So make sure you take note of which interfaces you have multi-queue enabled and how many FWK instance you're running. What will happen is you see after the upgrade, you see now you have multi-queue enabled on all interfaces. So if you take a node before, so you can fix it after that, okay? Because now it's all automated, meaning multi-queue is getting enabled, all of them, even you'll see multi-queue, they get enabled on standby, MGMT and the sync interface, even though they should not be there. But I found if you install a jump bot fix, those two interfaces gets removed. But still you have all the multi-queue enabled, enabled, and the RX queue is already everything automatic. So if you have a note of how it was before and core XL, so you can go fix it manually. Okay. So next one topic is.
Hey Shafi, just wanted to mention something about the Smart Console Center of Deployment tool. Just FYI, we introduced this tool in R80.40, but it was only limited to installing jumbo hotfixes, and it required that the gateways be online, connected to the checkpoint cloud. So we made a great improvement with respect to the central deployment in R80.1, where we can do major upgrades as well as VSX upgrades. And there's no requirement for the gateways to be connected to the checkpoint cloud. So you can do all of the packages offline via the security management server or the MDS. Thanks, Shafi.
Yeah, so that's a good point, Mansoor. Thank you. Yeah, actually, if you go into R8040, you'll see the package repository option is not there. You don't have that option, meaning if you want to upgrade, you have to have a cloud connectivity. Now we have the repository, meaning we can actually upload it local or cloud. So if you're local, we don't need a cloud connectivity. So thank you, Mansoor. So next topic is we have an infinity threat prevention. So what it is in pre R81, you want to use any of our threat prevention blade. Threat prevention blade, I mean threat emulation, threat extraction, IPS, anti-bot, antivirus. So those blade has to be enabled. You select that all the blades has to be selected manually. Here you go, I'll show you. So for example, if I go to R8040, I go threat emulation. See that you have to select all these check boxes, and if I check this, it will ask me how do you configure this according to the profile or threat cloud, blah blah blah. Here IPS, it's according to or detect only. Plus they have engine setting. You have to go in and make some manual changes if you want. But in R81, what we introduced called infinity threat prevention. You can still use the legacy one. If you go in here, the legacy one is still there where you choose specific profile in your rule base. Let's say this is IPS, and you can edit the specific profile. and make a adjustment the way you want, whatever what changes you make. See this, everyone, all the blades are here, so you can even choose here which blade I want. You can turn off a specific blade, and how do you want, medium or lower, or prevent or detect. So you have to do all this like for every blade. So this feature is still there, you can still use it, but we have introduced something called infinity threat prevention. What it is, it's a single click configuration, so you don't need to do anything. You just go in here and select the profile you want, and you see there are 5 different predefined profile already set for us. Just choose whichever we want. Let's say we have recommended, we have data center, we have guest network, internal. So I don't know which one I choose. You can even click on this. It will show you, give you kind of like a comparisons, which profile does what. See over here, this sanitization only done on recommended and strict profile. And if you do anti-bot, all of them does it. See that IPS. So you can kind of select which one you want. So what you do, you select the profile you want. You click on this drop-down menu, data center. Let's say I select data center object, and that's it. And you don't do anything because all the updates are done automatically for you. You don't need to manually update any database. And then we have this deployment dashboard. By default, whatever profile we choose, it says according to the profile, it affects anybody. But let's say you have a mail server or you have a domain control. I don't want any protection. I don't want any of those. I want it to be, so you can click on the plus sign here and select those server, build your, the dashboard or detect only, because before I apply my prevent mode, let's detect, see what type of logs I see. So you can build your profile. Once you select something from any, it changes to all other. I mean, whatever I have here, all other will be according to profile, except whatever I chose here. So you have to go into the gateway. What do you have to do? You edit the object and make sure you go into this section, and you select this. See that if I choose this, I don't have to check box anymore. It's all selected. All I have to do, I select this. All I have to do, I go in here under rule base. And under rule base, I go infinity. I select the whatever profile I want, and install policy, and you're done. And as you move on, you click work on your deployment dashboard. You click on the drop-down menu here and select the profile you want, and you go here under deployment dashboard. I mean, let's say any server you do want detect only, or I don't want any protection to be impacted for this server. You select one, or else everybody will be affected. And here you go. These are your choices. Okay. So this is what infinity threat prevention is. Now we have this for, again, deployment dashboard I already explained. You just build your dashboard slowly as you go along, whichever server you want according to the profile, or no protection or detect only, you build your stuff. For R8040, we do have it. If let's say you have R8040, you mentioned, do you have to go to R81? No, you don't. Because that is available for R8040 in early availability mode. Again, you go into that SK, knowledgeable article, and you have to install a package on the gateway, and there are 3 packages you have to install on the management side. Then you can use it for R80 gateways. But pre-R80 gateways, no, we don't have it. Again, this infinity threat policy will only be installed for any gateway object that have this ready button checked. If you don't have it, it's not gonna, okay, I go into infinity threat prevention, I choose recommended profile, blah, 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 but how come it's not working? Because you have to come here. If you don't choose it, it's gonna use the legacy, the old way, like you have to select threat prevention and whatever blade you chose, right? Again, let's say you have 10 gateways. I don't want all my gateways to use the same infinity threat prevention profile. You can do it, but you have to create separate policy packages for all these gateways, because one policy package, we can use one configuration. Let's say you have a gateway 2, I want to use guest network. Okay, then create a new policy package for your guest network where you can choose a different one. So you can do it, but the catch is you have to use it. You cannot do it in the same policy package. because some we can have a policy where you can install and we can change the install on one policy and pushing it to 3 different gateways, is changing the install on column. But if you want to use these 3 different gateways, 3 different one, you have to separate your policy package. You have to use separate policy package, or you can choose separate profile for independent thread permission. Okay. So what are other new features? One of the really nice one is the web smart consoles. So if you are already in R81 and if you are on Jumbo 10 or higher, you already have it. You can use it. Okay. And basically what you do, you just select HTTPS management IP and smart console. So I'll show you. Here I have 223. Here you go. See that? So I go to this guy. See that this I have a R81 single management station installed. While it is loading here. Okay, I already logged in. So you see that? So again, let me log out first. So I'll show you. Again, this is only, see that this is only read only. Remember, this is only read only. So it's pretty nice if you want to give access to your rule base to somebody, but you don't want him to make any changes, or you don't want him to install a smart console. Okay, go ahead and go there, and here's I have created a username for you. Go and log in, and you can view it, but you cannot do anything. So you log in, and here I see it. I go policy package. I can see what policy I have. I can even view the logs, but I cannot do anything manage and setting. Okay. So again, currently this is only available for security management server. Means a dedicated. If you're in a provider one, this feature is not there. You cannot use it. So again, it will. I think every new Jumbo hot fixes we're making adjustment improvement. So I'm pretty sure one of the Jumbo is okay. Now we support provider one. So the benefit is read only. You don't need to install anything. You just go in, log in, and if you're somebody you want to give access to review their rules and logs, okay, go use the web version, and you don't need to have them install anything. But one important part is make sure your API is running. If this relies on API, so make sure if you do API status, make sure this is running. If you don't have API running, it's not going to work. Okay, here I'll show you. 726 to 3900.
Yep. Even though the Web Smart Console right now is only read only, in Q1 we actually plan to release an updated Smart Console, which will give common read-write functionality as well. So stay tuned to that.
Yes, but in that example, let's say if you want to give them somebody a read-only access, make sure you create the user and assign a profile, read-only profile. So even though they log in, even the unchecked read-only, but when they log in, their profile only allows read-only access. So here, so if you run this is a pretty nice tool. I recommend anytime you have problem logging into a smart console, always use this command API status. Make sure this is running and ready, and API ready is successful. So API is not running, it will not work. See that API stop. I stopping the API. So I try to log in. It will show me the window, but it is unable to connect. It doesn't work. So again, make sure API is running, or else it's not going to work. It relies, this web smart console relies on API. Okay, I log in again. And I logged in. Okay. Okay, next one is VSX improvements. Now, actually, API, we added functionality to add, delete VSX gateway object, which wasn't there. Okay, now we can do it. A virtual router can run in a VLS mode. All the time, the VSX that we have, you can only run VS, the virtual system in VSL. Now we can run virtual router. There are other features too. And another great option is now VSX util included downgrade option, meaning For example, let's say if you're upgrading your VSX gateways from, let's say, R81 or sorry, R8020 to R8040, one of the required steps is you have to upgrade the objects on the management side, because if you log in, you can just a normal gateway, you click on the down arrow and you upgrade the VSX. It's not possible. You have to run the command VSX util upgrade. Then it will give you the options and you upgrade the object to R81. Okay. And once the object is upgraded, then you upgrade your gateways from CLI, because in place upgrade. Once the gateways are upgraded, you push policy, and by that time, gateway object is also upgraded, we can push policy. But the thing is, let's say whatever reason you have to revert back. Let's say I updated everything, but I'm having some traffic problem, or I have one gateway update, another thing. Anything can happen. So you have to have a rollback plan. So in this example, if you are on non-R81, let's say if you're on R8040, we don't have the option to downgrade the object. We have to make sure you take, we always will make sure you take a snapshot so that you can actually revert the snapshot where the gateway object was R8020. And then we can revert the gateways, the snapshot, because anytime you upgrade, it takes auto snapshot. So in R81, we added a feature called VSX util downgrade. So we don't have to use a snapshot or anything. We can actually use that VSX util command to downgrade the object from R81 back to R8020 or whatever object it was there previously. API improvement, we have again, every new release, you will see we keep improving. Currently, the API version is 1.7. And so when the RAD came out, there are a lot of lackings, a lot of the things we could not do in CLI. So slowly making improvements. Okay, I'll show you some commands that we added. And now we can manage licenses in Smart Console. You can you can add, delete licenses in Smart Console, but it's only license. We don't have the ability to manage our contracts, which will be coming soon. So there you go. Some I showed you the demo, so this is how it works. So VSX util, see in R8040, I chose R8040. You see we have the second command, VSX util upgrade, but we don't have a command to downgrade. In R81, we have that option. See that? VSX util downgrade. So if you are preparing to upgrade your gateways, for whatever the reason you have to roll back, we don't need to revert a snapshot. We can actually use this command to downgrade the object back to the version it was before. Okay. Okay, now these I mentioned some APIs like checkpoint host. We didn't have any command to add a checkpoint host in API, so we added this. Again, every new versions, we keep adding new features, okay? Some of them, if you are on RAD40 or RAD30 latest jumbo, some of the commands are there, okay? But not all of them, like VSX is totally new for RAD1. And we can add demo. There are more. I'm just giving you some example. We can use API command to create, delete TACX server, TACX group. Again, VSX is. Again, we see that we can create VSX object and users. In pre-R81 days, we could query only admin users, not a regular users. Now we can do that. If you have a user created in your dashboard, now you can query users, you can create user, delete user. But pre-R81, we could only do it for admin user meant admin user, not regular user. So we can do it now. And so that's the last one summary. So now access policy installation, again, we can do concurrent at like 5 concurrent policy installations at the same time. Policy installation is accelerated now. Again, I refer you back to the SK I mentioned on my first slide. Go there, if it's a certain condition met, policy installation is really faster. Again, I was told by R&D, it's like 80 to 90% faster. You reduce the time by 80 to 90%. If you do, let's say, you don't make any changes or make changes which the condition met, like say adding a host object, adding a network object, or you changing the track column or something. So if those conditions met, your policy installation will be accelerated. It will be a lot faster comparing to full installation. New NAT policy, now we can support a lot more new objects that we can use in our NAT policy, which we could not do before, plus hit counts. That column has been added to our NAT policy. Change report, as I mentioned, now we can actually see what changes somebody made with publish session or without publish session. So there are 2-3 places we can go and see what changes were made and whether we have the option to revert back or publish it. Let's say somebody makes some changes, they didn't publish it, they left, I log in, okay, admin 2 did some draft session. We can actually go see what changes he made, then we can decide should I publish it or not. And we can do version upgrade. Major version upgrade is pretty nice. You can have 0 downtime. So it does all done in the GUI. You don't need to run any manual intervention on the gateway side. And I showed you a demo video. It's do one member at a time. On the upgraded member comes online after the reboot, ready state, then goes into standby, connection table gets synced, it upgrades the previous active node. License management, we can manage licenses, and just show you it's actually here. I didn't add any picture here, so it's actually right here. If I go to gateways, it's right here. See that? Licenses tab. You can add, remove licenses right from the GUI. Previously, we had to go in manage the smart update, the legacy GUI. Now you can do it here, but limitation is we cannot do contracts yet. Hopefully, it will be there in the next versions. So any question and concern, please ask. That concludes my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll give it back to Carlos.
Well, thank you, Shafi. Very, very informative, extremely informative, the details that you went into. So we thank you so much. We want to thank you all also for joining and staying with us a little bit longer than expected, but we thought that the information is very valuable and hopefully you found this informative as well. If you have any questions, like we mentioned earlier, please go ahead and email us at atam@checkpoint.com. You could go also and email your respective ATAM engineer. He or she will be able to answer any additional questions that we may have not gotten to over the course of the webinar. And if you have questions as far as the ATAM service and some of the and how you can add this to your support contract, please email us there as well, atam@checkpoint.com, and you can reach out to your local partner and or your Checkpoint account rep, and we'll be more than happy to give you some information on how you can add the ATAM service as part of your support contract. So thank you so much for your time. Look forward to the next webinar. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.